Good morning. Well, as you can see, I'm in my car. I'm not driving, obviously. I completely forgot that today was Father's Day when I said that we would be doing this today. So apologies. You're probably all doing much better stuff this morning and spending time with your family. But I said I was going to do a 12 o'clock live, so here I am doing a 12 o'clock live. So in the last session that I did, I talked about compromise, and I mentioned in that I was going to be doing today's session on things that we should never compromise on. So we spoke in the last one about compromise being in terms of finances, compromising in relationships, obviously to do with finances, sex, and wasn't that terrible? I can't remember. Oh, parenting. But there are quite a few things which I believe that you shouldn't ever compromise on. So I've got about 8. I'll probably try and get through these in about 20 minutes or so. But as always, please put your comments in the comment box below so I know that if there's anything that you want me to talk about in particular, I can. Or if you have any questions about what I'm saying, or even if you disagree with what I'm saying, I'd really, really, really love to have your thoughts on that. So please do let me know. So all of these are like pretty obvious really, but I think the difficulty is that sometimes when we're in a relationship, and especially a long-term relationship, we can sometimes lose sight of the things that are important to us. And obviously in relationships we change, and we change over time, and we change depending on who we're with. So the first one to think about is self-worth. Now, self-worth is so a couple of these things that you'll know if you've watched my videos. I talk about a couple of these points all the time. Self-worth is something that I talk about all the time because I think it's something that is absolutely fundamental to everything that we do. And it's a tricky one when it comes to being in a relationship, because often we can consider ourselves in our partnership as intertwined, and we can think that how our partner views us is the most important thing. But it's really important to make sure that you keep your identity and you value yourself for who you are, not just who your partner wants you to be or who you think your partner wants you to be. And as I said, these things can change over time, and it gets quite complicated because we do in long-term relationships, we do become entwined with each other. But knowing what is important to you and knowing who you are and valuing yourself because you love yourself, not valuing yourself because of what your partner wants or expects from you, is really, really, really important, and has to be, I think, one of the most important aspects of a relationship. Knowing yourself, loving yourself, and loving your relationship and loving who you are in the relationship, but not sacrificing who you are for it. So that's self-worth. That ties on quite nicely to the second thing that you shouldn't ever compromise on, which is your personal beliefs. Now, this one can be quite difficult. We spoke in the last session about compromising, and there are loads of aspects that there are loads of aspects that we should compromise on, and that's absolutely right, and that's absolutely fitting. But compromising on your personal beliefs is not one of them. And I liken that to not losing yourself in your relationship. As I said, that ties in really, really closely to the first one, which is valuing yourself, but not losing yourself. So knowing what is important to you, being able to stand by your own set of values and beliefs, and acknowledging that in relationships your values and beliefs won't always be different, but that doesn't mean that you need to compromise them. There is always wiggle room. There is always times when you may need to. So, like, say for example. So this is for me, this is a compromise. So I'm vegan. My husband is definitely not vegan. And even though it's really important to me not to have animal products in the house, we have 2 girls, as you know, and so a compromise to me is that Dave and the girls, Dave eats meat, the girls don't really. They eat fish and they drink milk and eat cheese. That's a compromise. I don't change my beliefs for it. I don't personally like it, but it's a compromise that we have agreed to. I don't like cooking meat in the house, and that's a compromise that he has made for me. Although that's kind of gone a little bit. That's kind of slipped a little bit. There's cold meat being in the house now. But you know, beliefs, whatever your beliefs are, and however you value them, it's important that you don't ever feel like you have to give that up. And I would never force him to be vegan or vegetarian, no more than I would expect him to, shove dripping steaks or sausages under my nose, because that would be disgusting. Goals and dreams. I talk about goals and dreams all the time. This is like the absolute underbelly of everything that I do with my clients and everything that I talk about. Never ever let go of your goals and dreams. Like, fundamentally, in any relationship, you should be supporting each other as much as possible. Even if you don't think that your partner will achieve them, or if your partner doesn't think that you would be able to achieve them, is utterly irrelevant. You should both have each other's back when it comes to goals and dreams all the time. Like, ideally, you should have shared goals and dreams as much as possible. That they don't have to be. That's not like 100%. Like, absolutely have your own goals and dreams too. Like, definitely, but it's good to have some shared goals and dreams as well. But it's more about being able to value each other's aspirations, and crucially, never compromising on that. You should always, if your partner is ever questioning what you're aspiring to, just remind them that they're wrong and that you've got this. Don't ever feel like because somebody hasn't got your back that it's something that needs to be given up on. I just realised we're going through a way where I'm going to lose signal now. It's not very helpful. Hopefully I'm not going to cut out, so apologies if I do. Supporting each other. I mean, I know that this is a ladies group and I talk always to the ladies, and I talk about how we should be treating ourselves and how we want to be treated, but this is also about how we treat each other. Any work that we do for ourselves has to be work that we do in our partnership if we've got one. So, nobody should be compromising their goals, their dreams, their values, and equally we should be always supporting our partners and our children's and our friends and our families. That kind of goes without saying. I think. Another thing that I feel really strongly that we shouldn't compromise on is time alone, and this comes up a lot for me. This comes up a lot in my work with my clients, and I think this is really important because having time alone means that you have time to breathe outside of your relationship. It means that you have time to center, reflect, consider the things that are important to you, consider, discussions, consider your dreams, like whatever it is. Now, some of these, I said earlier, some of these points overlap, and I'm going to get onto friendships and family in a minute. And that's something a little bit different, like making sure that you have time out with your friends is really important. I'll come to that in a minute. But this is about time alone. This is about you having some space to be able to just be yourself and not have to answer to that. Like, I don't feel like anybody should ever really have to answer or justify any of their behaviour as long as it's, you know, like, reasonable. I mean, we have to communicate, obviously, with our partners about what we're doing and what we're thinking and how we're thinking about doing stuff. But making sure that you have time by yourself, I think, is very important. And that can be anything from time alone reading, that could be meditating, could be going out exercising, could just be going for a walk by yourself. And that's you know, when I hear clients saying that their partners, you know, are always quizzing them about where they're going or what they're doing or why they need time by themselves, and you know, that comes from a place of real insecurity, and that always makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. So not always. Sometimes there's okay reason for that. Yeah, I know. It's difficult. It's difficult to always. So somebody's just saying, I'm not going to say your name because I post this in other groups sometimes, but one of the ladies just saying that it's not always easy. It's not always easy to get time by yourself, and it's not always easy. You're absolutely right. You know, especially if you're a mummy. I mean, like, gosh, if you're a mummy, having time to yourself is near on impossible anyway. If you're a working mummy, that makes it even harder, and then you've got the family to look after, and you've got, you know, everything else that's chucked into the mix. It becomes really difficult, but it's kind of essential for you to be able to just, even if it's 15 minutes, it doesn't have to be a long amount of time, just to be able to look after yourself. You know, I talk so much about self-care. Self-care is just so important. I've done videos before where we've talked about at the beginning of lockdown, making sure that you're going out and you're doing a little bit of walking by yourself, or you're doing a bit of exercising by yourself, meditating. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Please prioritise that for yourself, and don't compromise that. Like, I understand that life gets busy, but don't compromise that. And if you feel like you're being questioned on that for whatever reason, and as I said, it doesn't have to be negative. It's not about like partners being possessive. Sometimes it's just about time, and sometimes it's just about who's going to look after the children and cook the dinner. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not like mind-blowing stuff, but it is important that you do it, and it is important that you look after yourself. So, and in doing that, well, I'll talk now about friends and family. I'm going to do friends and family together because they're very similar in lots of ways. So time out with your girlfriends is, I think, is really important. I'm very, very lucky. I've got fabulous friends who I value incredibly dearly, and my time with them, you know, they're all very different. We do different things depending on who we're with and where we're going. It's not about... Actually, another lady actually messaged me and asked me to do this as a standalone video. So I might come back and do this as a standalone video another time. But, you know, making sure that you have time with your friends, whatever you're doing, however you're doing it, whether that's meeting up for coffee, or that's going out for dinner, or just going to each other's houses and having a glass of wine or tea or coffee, like whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The compromise there is that there can be situations where, again, we're talking about compromise here, and I don't want this to come across like I'm always talking about partners are being possessive, because there are certainly partners that are possessive, like there are, and that's a reality. But I'm also talking about, you know, valuing yourself. You know, this is about what we shouldn't compromise in relationships, but what we shouldn't compromise in relationships is ourself. And if our identity is being able to see our friends and go out and relax and have one night, even if it's just one night a fortnight, just to go and, you know, laugh and be Pascal, or be, you know, Sally or Sarah or, you know, whoever you are, that is so important. It's like the time alone. It's like your values. It's like your self-worth. It's all of those things. It's just about making sure that you prioritise yourself. And, you know, being able to see your friends and being able to have time alone and being able to do whatever it is you're doing, meditating, exercising, walking, drinking wine, like, it doesn't matter. All of these things enrich you in the end. They give you time to be able to be alone with your thoughts. They give you time to speak to your friends, to be able to chat things through, to be able to understand a situation from a different perspective, to be able to do all of these things. And that's why doing it is so important. And that's why, even if you're really busy, even if you're really tired, even if the kids don't want you to go out, like, even if, make the time to do it, because you will come back so much better for it and feel so much better for yourself. And that goes with family time too. Like, time with your extended family is so important. And, you know, another red flag that always comes up is when ladies speak about partners who have made them, for whatever reason, isolate from their friends and family, talk ill of their friends and family. I'll come on to that one in a minute when I talk about respect. It's not a good sign. It doesn't feel comfortable to me. We don't all have to like each other's friends and family. I dare say, no, I'm not going to say dare say, because there aren't any friends or family that my husband doesn't like. But I know there are situations where friends have got friends, or family members where people just don't either get on or rub each other the wrong way, or, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But the point is that isn't something that you need to compromise on. Your relationship with your friends and family should remain healthy and regular, regardless of whether or not your partner agrees. I don't want to kind of dwell on that too much, because I think I can easily go into social work mode when I talk about some of these subjects, because and that's a very different world. It's a very different world to the world that I live in now and the clients that I work with now. But that is a reality, is that a lot of my learning and a lot of my understanding about families and relationships has come from a social work perspective, and it's been invaluable to me. But it's not always. It's such a small section of the difficulties that families have. It doesn't always feel like it's based in reality. So I do try to steer away from things like coercion and control, and domestic violence, whether that's emotional or physical. If that's not right, and if you want me to talk more about that, I am happy to talk about that. But I just don't know that that's necessarily what you guys want me. I don't feel like that's necessarily speaking to you all, and encompassing you all. But if I'm wrong, you know, chuck that my way. But you know, we the ways that this is about compromising on who we spend our time with, and that doesn't have to be about control and coercion. That can just be about us not prioritising ourselves and what's important to us. So a few people have just joined into the video now. So just so that if you're kind of wondering why on earth I'm in my car, and I'm not driving, by the way, just to let you know that I completely forgot that it's Father's Day, because I am rubbish. And I had a really busy day yesterday, so I wasn't able to do the live yesterday. I thought that I would do it today, and then it was only yesterday that I realised that I'm dumb and I've booked a live for 12 o'clock. So I'm currently driving down to Brighton. Husband's driving. I wanted to show up. He's waving, but you can't see him. Kids are in the back being absolute angels, because they probably know they're going to get an ice cream when we get to Brighton. So apologies. This video will be going back up in the group, so anybody that's missed the beginning and wants to catch up on it. We're talking about things not to compromise in your relationship. We've talked about self-worth. We've talked about personal beliefs. We have talked about, your dreams and your goals, something I talk about all the time. Spending time with family, spending time alone, spending time with your friends. Now let's have a think about respect. Never, ever, ever, ever give up on your respect. Now, how you, again, this all comes back down. That's what I love. This is why my job's so great, is because all of this, and this is why I get verbal diarrhea when I do these kind of videos, because everything intertwines, everything overlaps. So I've got a couple of people on video now who know me, either personally or professionally, and you'll all know that I'm just a complete chatterbox. But I feel passionate about this subject, and I feel passionate about the work that I do, and that's why I love talking about it so much. So we've talked about self-worth, but when we talk about respect, that is about self-respect. That is about how we value ourselves, what worth we have, how we view ourselves, but also how we want to be treated. I talk a lot about communication and self-worth. I talk about a law of attraction and self-worth. But how we want to be respected is about how we expect is self-worth and self-respect are very tightly linked. How does your partner treat you? How does your partner speak to you? How does your partner speak about your friends and your family? Hello, my lovely. I'm in the car. It's a bit of a random one. I forgot it was Father's Day. My bad. I did buy my husband cards and presents, by the way, so I'm not that bad. I just hadn't linked the two together, that today was Father's Day. I knew that Sunday was Father's Day, and I knew that I was doing a live on Sunday. I just hadn't joined the dots. How your partner speaks to you. How your partner speaks to you in private and in public. This is really important. Like I said at the beginning, this is not just about you. This is also about how you show up and how you treat your partner as well. This is a ladies group, but we support each other, but we also have to be clear that sometimes we fall foul of these things as well, because we're human, right? And we're human beings. So, no halo on me. I never profess that there is a halo on me. I let you know that I'm human, and that I'm flawed, and you are too, and we all are. But having respect for yourself and for how you want to be treated, and for how you want your friends to be treated, and for how you want your family to be treated, is absolutely essential. And if there is any time where you feel like that isn't how it should be, then raise it, because compromising on your respect and compromising on how you are spoken to, both in private and in public, is just an absolute no-go. And how you respect your partner, because we can talk. I can talk till I'm blue in the face about communication, but communication is always a two-way street. And if my children shout at me, or if my husband raises his voice at me, I know that is something that I have also fed into. And so if I'm having a bad day, like this morning, I wasn't having a great morning, because it's Father's Day. It's always a really sad day for me. I was really anxious about getting ready to come out, to get down to Brighton, to get the girls ready, to make Pat lunch, and then also knowing that I was doing this live and wondering what you were all going to be thinking about me sitting in the car doing a live. And so I was properly tense. And so when the girls start then misbehaving, obviously that's because I'm uptight, right? There's absolutely no rocket science to that at all. And equally, if Dave, who is probably the most gentle, passive, amazing husband, friend, father, lovely. I'm saying this because I'm on the call. He is on the call. He's sitting next to me. But I know that if he ever shouts at me, it's because I'm being a dick. He never shouts at me unless he's mirroring back to me what I've given him, and I can say that as fact. You like it in the car, do you? I might just, I don't know. I feel a bit silly. Thank you, Nicola. So it is. It's about how we respect ourselves, how we respect others, how we treat ourselves, how we treat others. It's all. It's just also important. Respect is an absolute. It's just so important. Okay, so I've got two more. I've got personality. So your personality. So funnily enough, I was speaking to a client about this the other day. This one really resonates with me because I don't think you should ever compromise your personality for your partner. Now, this one can be a bit tricky, and I would love for you to be able. I know the girls are so quiet; they are being angels, my children, at the moment. This never, ever, ever happens where they're this quiet. So I'm delighted. I'm definitely going to be buying ice cream when we get to Brighton. So if you've got a part of your personality that is a bit either goofy, a bit inappropriate, so this is what my client was saying the other day, inappropriate jokes and innuendos that their partner absolutely hates. Not hates, that's too strong, just finds inappropriate. It's a new relationship, brand new relationship. And they were saying should I tone it down? And I was like, I really struggle with that, to be honest with you, because on one hand, I just think you should be yourself. But then on the other hand, to some degree, we all have to we all have to somehow, we don't all do it, but sometimes we do have to kind of neaten the edges a little bit. Actually, I was just saying that to Dave the other day, actually, considering the car crash of a person that I was in my late 20s. Just kind of just a bit loud, well, very loud, very brash, drinking lots. I still swear lots, so I can't change that. I still drink a bit, to be honest with you. And I'm still quite loud and brash. So, but I'm probably less so. I think I've mellowed as I've got older. I don't know, it's really difficult. I don't personally agree with compromising who you are. I don't, there's lots that we do need to compromise in relationships. I absolutely get that. Relationships to a degree are about compromise. But if you're compromising your core being, as I said to this person the other day, that's the person that they're falling in love with. That's the person that they chose to meet up with and go out on dates with and, start getting intimate with. Why do you need to start changing? And in fact, let me just see more of that comment just before I respond to that. No, absolutely. Nicola, can I name you in this because you're a colleague? Is that all right? So Nicola's saying, I used to tone myself down until I realised self-love and that I could be myself without having to worry about what others think. And this is absolutely it. Thank you for that, Nicola, because this is absolutely everything that that I've been talking about. I know you missed the beginning of the video, but we were talking about self-worth and we were talking about goals and values and dreams and, all of the other stuff. And, what I loved about turning 40 was really, my 20s were just a mess. I didn't know myself, I didn't love myself, I didn't value myself. I make no secret of that. I got through it. I don't know how I got through it, but I did. I came through it blessed with friends and family, but I never really loved the person that I saw in the mirror. Then when I went through my 30s, I fell in love and I really started to know that I was good enough, and I started to grow as a person, and I started to value myself a little bit more. I started to educate myself. I started to do training that made me feel passionate. I got married, I became a mummy, all of these life-changing things that happened through my 30s. And then when I turned 40, everything just fell into place. Everything fell into place so much, and I make no apology for who I am now at all. And I also love the fact that I'm not a social worker anymore, because when you're a social worker, you really have to conform. Like, you really have to make sure that you're towing the line and doing your job well. And even though I always put a huge chunk of my personality into my work, I never really felt like I was able to really be myself. And so when I gave up my social work career and I was counselling on the side at the time, and I was, doing a lot of relationship work, and then I came out of that and then started moving. And I still do a lot of counselling work. I do a lot of couples counselling and family counselling, but I'm now predominantly doing coaching. And the reason why I came into coaching was just because I actually just thought I can do this so much better if I just be myself and not try to be what anybody else thinks I should be or wants me to be, but I just actually show up as me. And I hired an amazing coach. Her name is Mary, and she absolutely just gave me permission to embrace everything that was great about myself. And that's what I encourage all of my clients. Like, that's the nub of the work that I do with my clients, is love yourself, value yourself, respect yourself, and be yourself. Like, show up as your fabulous you. And anything that we need to do to help you to do that, that is absolutely what I am here for, and that is what my role as their coach, your coach, is. If my personality bothers someone, then it may not work. Our real authentic self will not change. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely right. I'm not going to name you because I've shared this video in other groups, but you are absolutely spot on, and I love you for that. So don't ever change. It's actually very damaging to any relationship to not be yourself, because then the relationship isn't real. Absolutely, that's absolutely right. We talk about the authentic self. I've talked about a lady who actually ended up, I was working with her last year, actually ended up splitting up from her husband. She was so worried about how her children were going to be. Her children were older, they were young adults. She felt so much that she didn't want to break the family apart because she still needed to keep this persona up of being happily married. The kids had absolutely no idea that she'd spent the last 5 or 7 years miserable. I mean, miserable. And once she split up from her husband, she became herself. Her relationship with her children improved so much because she was authentic. She was showing up as her true self. Her relationship with her ex-husband also significantly improved. They actually had a valuable friendship once they split up. And everything that she had been holding on to, the fear that she had been holding on to, that was the black cloud above her head for all those years, just went away. And literally, like, the clouds parted, the sun started shining, everybody was happy. Everybody was happier. So that's the real value of being able to love and value yourself. Okay, last one. How long have I been going for? Half an hour. Sorry. Okay, deal breakers and safety. Can't obviously go doing this without saying that, utterly life-changing. In such a fabulous way, She actually ended up going off to Costa Rica for 3 months and doing volunteer work. Amazing, fabulous. Personal safety and deal breakers. So they're two slightly different things, but they're going to overlap because I'm going to make them. Your deal breaker can be whatever it wants, whatever you want it to be, whatever is important to you. Deal breakers should be things like never giving up on your friends. Like, some of these things are deal breakers, but they're things that we get lost. They get lost along the way because because that's what happens when we're in a relationship, and that's what happens when we're in love, because let's not be pessimistic, it's not all doom and gloom. Sometimes we lose ourselves a little bit when we're in love, but we mustn't ever compromise. It's important that we remember to value ourselves and all of the stuff. I'm not going to go back over it again. Deal breakers are things that you should never, ever, ever put up with, and I'm just going to tie that up with personal safety, because If you ever feel like you are disrespected, like there could be a time and a place where it was either a misunderstanding or your partner just needs to be reined in and actually said, that's the last time you ever speak to me like that in public again, or that's the last time you ever do X, Y, Z. Don't ever do that. I've got one client that I'm working with, husband really inappropriately flirting with a friend. That is a no-go. Okay, that's a no-go. I'm not going to get into that. You've all got, this is down to you. Deal breakers are your personal safety, and if your deal breaker isn't your personal safety, get in touch with me. No charge at all. I want to speak to you, and I want to be able to work out what's going on for you, and make sure that you're okay, and make sure that you know how to look after yourself. Because if you're in a situation where your physical safety, your self-respect, your self-worth is being challenged on a regular basis. I've got a client, and I've got separately a friend, absolutely naming no names, where actually I've got three people that I know where punching cupboards, punching walls, smashing plates is okay because they never hit me. So it's okay, they just get really angry. And they're getting their frustration out, but I don't ever feel like they would do it to me. And that is, in my mind, bless you, we'll be there soon, sweetheart. That is utter BS, and I don't stand for that at all. And I think if anybody is desensitized in a relationship that much, where they think that is acceptable and that is okay, then just get in touch with me. Like not for anything other than let's just have a chat and let me just make sure that you're okay, and let me just see where your values are for your safety and for your self-worth. Because to me personally, that's a deal breaker. There may be situations where I may be wrong. I never ever say that I am the goddess of everything love, life and relationships. I'm not. I never have been, and I never will be. I swear, I shout, and I get things wrong, and I say wrong things sometimes. But there are limits to how we behave and how we show up, and there are limits to how we should be behaved to, and how we should be treated. So if that is ever something that is that you don't have to ask me for help, but ask someone for help. Go to someone and check it out with someone. And obviously, if you absolutely feel like your personal safety is at risk, then do whatever you can in that moment. Tell somebody about it. Tell your friends. Tell somebody, whoever it is, that this is the situation, and have the space to talk that through, because I'm pretty adamant that no level of violence, whether it's directed at you or around you, is ever okay, and don't ever settle or compromise for that being the case. All right, gorgeous ladies. I thank you so much for showing up. There's more of you on here than I thought there was going to be today, actually. So thank you so much. Thank you for all your comments. Have a wonderful day, whatever it is you are doing. The sun is shining, so enjoy. And please get in touch if there are any subjects that you want me to talk about. I really want these videos, these lives, to be about you. I don't want to just talk about what I think that you want me to talk about. So please do let me know. I'll be back here on Wednesday. I'll confirm a time later on in the week, what time I'll be back. Live videos, usually on a Wednesday and a Saturday. So let me know what you want me to talk about, and I'll be sharing this video so you can watch it again if you want to. And thank you so much for all your support. Oh, and also, if there's anybody else that you think is really good, to add them to this group. If you think that you've got any friends that would benefit from being in this group, then please do add them. All right, lots of love. Happy Sunday. Take care.